Sir, if we have the best in the world, the best CMA in the world, how come hindi natin na ma-maximize and we waited for 17 years to increase it?
Yun nga. We are the number 2 producers of coconut in the world. But although we are number 2, we are also number 1 in the export market.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome here at Pandesal Forum of 85-year-old Kamuning Bakery Cafe. We have a very important topic today about the coconut industry, the importance of coconuts as food and as biofuel. And we have 3 experts here na anong ginagawa ng private sector advocacy of coconut for food and fuel here in the Philippines. I will invite the 3 speakers to give opening remarks. Of course, the first speaker natin, si Ms. Clara Reyes Lapus. Later on, I'll introduce her before her opening statement. Then we have Ms. Yvonne Agustin and also Mr. Rafael Diaz. The first speaker is very interesting kasi she's not only an advocate of coconut industry, she's also very prominent in the food industry. Si Ms. Clara Reyes Lapus is president of Mamacita Foundation. She is also the president of the Philippine Association of Condiments Producers Incorporated. She is also the daughter of Mamacita Reyes, who founded Mamacitas, the well-known company producing oyster sauce and condiments. Let us welcome for her opening statement, Ms. Clara Reyes Lapus.
Good morning. Mamacitas had been championing coconut floral sap vinegar since 1998 because it has more health benefits than imported apple cider vinegar. Thank you for being with us to hear our advocacy this morning. We believe that coconut is not only for food, but also for enjoying cleaner air. Allow me to introduce my colleagues, Yvonne Agustin, Executive Director of the United Coconut Association of the Philippines, a group composed of various sectors of the coconut industry, and Rafael Diaz, petroleum and biodiesel expert, advocate of coconut methyl ester, CME, consultant of ChemRes, Philippines' biggest coconut methyl ester producer, one of 14 CME producers in the Philippines. Agnes Cristobal, the Vice President of PACP, is not with us today. In 2023, Mr. Ramon Rivera, former deputy head of the PCA, told Barbara May Dacanay and myself that several Japanese investors are interested to invest in the production of CME for jet fuel. This year, our colleague, Agnes Cristobal, said that she is touring some investors who really believe that CME can be used as a jet fuel. They're now in Candelaria, Hammer, and Quezon. I'm happy to introduce Mr. Rafael Diaz, an expert of petrofuel and biodiesel. He is with us to explain the beauty, cleanliness, and value of coconut as fuel. We are presenting a video of Mr. Diaz saying that the saturated and unsaturated carbon chain of CME is closest to the ideal diesel that is much better than the chemical structure of regular diesel. For our deeper understanding of CME, Mr. Diaz has identified the different kinds of biodiesels used by different countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Canada, Europe, and the United States. We have with us today another video presentation that compares CME with 9 other biodiesels used in other countries, including other Southeast Asian nations, South Africa, and India. You will be happy and pleasantly surprised that this comparison, done like an information kit with scientific data, shows that our CME is really the best in the world. Mr. Diaz will explain this further when he takes the floor. Ms. Yvonne Agustin will show that the Philippines is the world's number 2 producer of coconuts, with 14 billion nuts a year. In other words, for her and for us, there is really no conflict between the use of coconut as food and fuel. But we have to plant more coconuts, produce more coconuts so we can help create clean fuel and avert climate change. Ms. Agustin has discussed this angle in one of our video presentations. She will also discuss this further when she takes the floor. Without further ado, I give way for the video presentation and to my colleagues who will discuss further the respective topics this morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of the terms that you have heard in that video are not easy to understand because they are technical. But in the course of our meeting this morning, I will explain them in a way that you will understand. Now, let me brief you first about cocoa biodiesel. I'm sure you have heard of cocoa metal ester. Have you heard that? Now, cocoa biodiesel came into the scene at the start of the new millennium because in 2001, the coconut industry lost its export market to the US and Europe because it was destroyed by the American Soybean Association. They were saying that coconut has very high saturated fat and is causing arterial clogging and are killing American people. So they were against tropical oil. That's only coconut and palm. And coconut has 91% unsaturated carbon, but they did not explain that the 91% are short chain, which means it is very good hydrocarbon. Now, because of that, our coconut farmers lost their market. There was 10,000 metric tons excess production. So what our coconut farmers were doing was to cut down our coconut trees to make it into cocoa lumber so that they can have income. So that was killing our coconut industry. So the Philippine Coconut Authority, PCA, came to us, my group, and requested for a solution on how to solve the problem of the coconut industry, which means no more export market. So we told them that the quickest way is to convert coconut into metal ester or biodiesel, which is a high volume, high value, and sustainable product that can be used as diesel. Because coconut metal ester has a carbon chain profile exactly the same as diesel, but not natural. So from there on, we presented this to the various cabinet ministers and to the UCAP, the one here, and in attendance in that meeting was the newly appointed Philippine Coconut Authority Administrator, who after that called a meeting among the coconut stakeholders and presented to them that cocoa biodiesel is the way to go to recover the lost export volume. And all the coconut stakeholders agreed that that is the way to go. And from then on, we started developing coconut metal ester as cocoa biodiesel. So that was in early the year 2002 to 2004, 2005. And in 2007, the biofuels law was signed as RA 9367 to promote ethanol and coconut metal ester as biodiesel. Ethanol is for gasoline. So that started the program. So we have been working on promoting 5% blend of cocoa biodiesel. It's currently at 2% since 2009. So that was many years ago. So for the past 17 years, we have been promoting, we have been pushing to have a 5% blend of cocoa biodiesel in our diesel. Indonesia already has 35%. Malaysia already has 20% biodiesel, which is palm. Thailand already has 7%, and we are still at 2% after 17 years. But I'm happy, at least, that last January, the Department of Energy announced that they will increase the blend from 2% to 3% this year, and from 3% to 4% next year, and 4% to 5% in 2026. So that is where we are now as far as cocoa biodiesel is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. We have a lot of questions later on for the three of them. Next, thank you, Mr. Rafael Diaz. Next, we'd like to invite Ms. Yvonne Agustin. Siya an Executive Director of the United Coconut Association of the Philippines, Incorporated, will give us an overview of what's happening with the coconut industry. Welcome, Ms. Agustin, for your opening statement.
Our coconut industry is a very versatile industry, and we are the number 2 producers of coconut in the world. But although we are number 2, we are also number 1 in the export market. For example, coconut oil, desiccated, copra meal, and so on. No, our industry is really expanding. Before, we only talk about copra, coconut oil, desiccated coconut, activated carbon, copra meal, charcoal. Now, we are talking about many products for food and non-food. Among them is for the non-food is biodiesel, which Rafi has said earlier. For food, we have a lot. In addition to what I have mentioned earlier, we're talking already about coconut cream, coconut milk, coconut water, coconut sugar, coconut syrup, coconut virgin coconut oil, and mga what we call condiments like vinegar, aminos, which could be a replacement for oyster sauce, and for the non-food, maraming chemicals like methyl ester, which is the basic, which is our biodiesel, fatty acids, fatty alcohol, which are used for industrial uses, So, knowing that we have a lot of products to produce, we always say that we should be producing more coconuts so that we can serve the requirements of the processing sector. Hindi sila mag-agawan for material. And aside from that, we are also environment friendly. As you will know later on from Mr. Rafi Diaz. So we will be healthy, walang mga merong chika, because we have a clean environment. So even for our soaps and detergents, kailangan coconut based, which comes from fatty alcohol. So maybe we can start with our major topic for today.
Thank you very much to our three speakers for their opening statement, for the overview of the coconut industry, coconut for food, coconut for biofuel. Very interesting for many of us who are not experts sa chemistry and science. Any questions you'd like to ask, please, you can just raise your hand. May tanong na tayo dito from Philippine Star. Si Mr. Jasper Arcalas of Philippine Star. He has 3 questions already for our panelists here. I would like to mention the first question muna. Sabi ni Mr. Jasper Arcalas of Philippine Star, what is the United Coconut Association of the Philippines projection for our Philippine coconut oil exports this year, 2024? Will this surpass the 1.129 million tons exported last year, according to the Philippine Statistics PSA data? Number 1 question yan. And mayroon pa siyang dalawang question afterwards. Thank you.
Our estimate of last year's coconut production was 2.93 million tons in copra equivalent.
2.93 million.
Million tons in copra equivalent.
Uh-uh.
That's down from the record in 2022, which was at 3.1. Now, for 2024, because of the rainfall deficiencies that we have observed in coconut areas, we are forecasting a decline from 2.9 last year
Yes.
to 2.7.
This year?
Yeah, 2.7.
2.7.
So, expectedly, we will have lower export
Yes.
for coconut products. But last year, as mentioned,
Yes.
we have exceeded 1 million metric tons for the total coconut oil export. I think this year, it could be, our projection will be is about 1 million tons also.
So the same.
It's almost the same.
Almost.
A little bit lower.
Uh-uh.
A little bit lower.
So almost 1 million metric
Metric
tons
tons of coconut oil.
of coconut oil exports this year. A little below.
A little below.
May tanong pa siya number 2. This is from Philippine Star of Jasper Arcalas. What will be the reasons behind the decrease in our exports
Yeah, it's the low production that we are expecting this year.
because of
The low production we are expecting this year. And the reason also for the low production
yes.
is the rainfall deficits that we're seeing, were observed in many coconut producing areas.
Rainfall deficit. Number 3 question of Mr. Jasper R. Calas of Philippine Star. What is the industry's estimated impact of El Nino on coconut oil exports this year?
We will see the impact next year because
Next year
there is a lag of 12 to 13 months from in production and also weather.
1 year.
1 year lag time.
1 year lag time. Thank you very much. So this is a little problematic for the Philippine industry now. Yes. Any other? Yes. Okay, about the microphone. Yourself also.
Hi, good morning. I'm Mela Las Moras from PTV4 po. My question is about, pwede po silang tatlong magbigay ng views and comments. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and other government officials ay nasa US sila ngayon for the trilateral summit of the Philippines, Japan, and US. I would like to ask yung comments and views lang po about this ng business community for the, yun nga, for Philippine Association of Condiments Producers, from the Biodiesel Association, and for United Coconut Association of the Philippines. Ano po yung nakikita yung epekto nito sa business community, lalo na hindi lamang national security, kundi yung mga iba't ibang economic aspects ay inaasang matatalakay nila at mag-forge ng deals yung US, Philippines, and Japan. Sa tingin niyo po ba makatutulong ito sa business community sa Pilipinas, at if ever, ano na po yung mga nakikita nating benefits dito mula dun sa mga sektor na kinabibilangan po? Thank you.
Well, I hope when they start talking, they would raise the issue that there are detractors of coconut. They say that it should declare on the label allergens, which is not fair.
Yun naninira sa US. The 20 years ago parang they've been parang black propaganda against Philippine coconuts.
Yes.
We have as what Ms. Clara said, coconut is mistakenly labeled as an allergen. That's because they classified coconut tree palm as a tree, but it's not a tree; it's a palm. And they classified the coconut as a nut. And since coconut is a palm, the product the fruit is called a drupe. So it's not a nut. That's the basis for saying that coconut is an allergen. But there are very, I think the report on allergenicity on coconut is very rare. Siguro kung masyado ka ng very sensitive, no? And just recently, there was a report that in New Zealand, they were also labeling several products as allergens. And thankfully, coconut was not included there. So maybe they know the background, why it should not be included as an allergen.
So ang hope ninyong tatlo is sana ma-correct yung wrong information. Sabi ni Mr. Diaz, this came about from the soybean producers of the US yata, no? Yung wrong information, intentional.
Yung development of cocoa biodiesel
Yes.
was the solution because the export market of coconut was destroyed by the American Soybean Association. They
Black
accuse
propaganda na.
that propaganda, they accuse it of causing arterial clogging, yung high saturated oil.
But it's not true.
It's not true.
So,
Then eventually, it was corrected by mga
scientists.
scientists, doctorates on this particular study, that in fact coconut oil is the best oil in the world because it
For
contains
health.
medium chain triglyceride, which other oils do not have. And these are the short chain.
So yung hope nila is matulungan itong trip to correct the... Baka may follow-up.
I would just like to comment before we continue on the biodiesel component. What was shown earlier, the different biodiesel in the world, wala hong pakialam ang Pilipinas sa babasu, wala hong yan sa Pilipinas. Wala hong jatropa sa Pilipinas, walang rapeseed, walang soybean, walang canola, walang sunflower. The only biodiesel that are of interest here in Southeast Asia is coconut methyl ester, palm kernel oil from palm and palm oil. So, ito lang yung tatlo. But Japan is now developing microalgae for biofuel development.
So we are competitors with Japan and US in terms of soybean nila. Tayo coconut.
Sila soybean.
Tayo
Tayo
coconut.
coconut.
Thank you. Ay, Miss Barbara may nakalay. Yes. Ay, may microphone.
Nakita lang kanina yung mga comparison to show that coconut is superb over all the other biodiesel.
For everyone to understand, will you please explain the meaning of saturated and unsaturated carbon, or in terms of how it can be understood, like good cholesterol or bad cholesterol, something like that, kasi mahirap maintindihan yung saturated and unsaturated carbon.
That's exactly what I said. There were many terms that we use that are not easy to understand, yung saturated and unsaturated. Kasi po, ang normal oil, what you call saturated, straight carbon chain yan, walang nag-aabala dyan. Yung unsaturated, meron silang, this is another technical term, may tinatawag na double bonds. Okay, double bonds. The problem with unsaturated is that it makes the biofuel hygroscopic, meaning to say it absorbs water. If you use it in fuel, you don't want the fuel to absorb water. So when you use unsaturated, you blend it with diesel, it is prone to absorbing water. That's why it has to be totally saturated. Saturated means it is hydrophobic, it rejects water. It does not want water. And furthermore, kung saturated siya tapos low iodine, like what we have in coconut, it reduces NOx emission in diesel. Without that, mataas ang NOx emission. But the second thing I would like to appreciate is the fact that I would like to thank Mrs. Clara Labus that we have this media presentation, because since 2015, there has been no interest on cocoa biodiesel. That's why we have been moving on that alone. But finally, nag-relent na ang DOE to grant an increase of 1% this year, increase of 1% next year, and another 1% in 2026. So in a way, there is this development after so many years. After Indonesia
After
has already
17
increased
years.
to 35%,
35 na sila.
35 na sila.
Wow.
Ang Malaysia is 20%, ang Thailand is 7%. I also would like to explain yung binanggit na cetane. Sino ba dito yung mga nagmamaneho ng diesel? Anyone driving diesel? Alright.
Sakyan.
In diesel, when the fuel is injected, from the time it is injected to the time it combusts, they call it ignition delay. Now, yung ignition delay, kung mahaba yung ignition delay, ibig sabihin ang setting number yung bababa. If setting number is high, it means the ignition delay is short. Which means that pag nag-accelerate kayo, inapakan yung accelerator, pag high setting siya, lilipat agad yan sa sakyan nyo. Pero kung mababa ang setting, nag-accelerate na kayo, ayaw pang gumana, ayaw pang mag-respond. That is the meaning of setting. So if you have a high setting number, you have good acceleration response, good ignition and acceleration response. All other biodiesel, ang CME is 70, ang setting, di ba? Yung ibang biodiesel, it ranges between 50 to 60. Iba-iba doon, but it's in that range. Kaya hindi na namin in-identify kung 53 o 54 o 55, basta they are 50 to 60 range. We're just comparing CME. Well, yung ano po, is there any other thing that is confusing in terms of mga terms? So, maraming nagkakamali na in-express nila yung octane sa diesel. Ang octane po, gasoline engine lang yun. So, the octane in gasoline is increased by means of ethanol. Ethanol po, walang pakialam sa diesel. Sa gasolina yun. Salamat po.
Sir, if we have the best in the world, the best CMA in the world, how come hindi natin na ma-maximize and we waited for 17 years to increase it?
Yun nga, how come 17 years walang nangyari? How come we are still at 2% after 17 years?
Well, ang suspicion ko lang, suspicion lang to. Let me, walang interest kasi the mga oil companies have been preventing the increase of locally sourced fuel.
Imported mga oil companies.
Yeah, mostly the oil companies that import diesel. They don't want their importation to reduce. Pagka gumamit kasi ng local source, bababa yung kailang import.
Lower sales nila.
Bababa yung
Oo.
kailang import
Ah.
commission.
Ah, so parang lobby nila, lobby.
Yeah.
Nagla-lobby or
Yeah, when we were pushing for the B5, B5 lang naman, maraming anti-biodiesel group that they have been releasing statements in media that
Yes.
are false. Like in 2012,
Yes.
they said that if you increase the biodiesel blend to 5%, it will increase the pump price by 3 pesos. But at that time, it was only 30 cents an increase. So in other words, mislead.
misleading. So maganda itong ginagawa ni Miss Lapus for having this forum to promote more biodiesel and coconut.
Correct. Kaya I said, I'm very happy that there is now attention being given to this cocoa biodiesel. But I said, my comment earlier,
Yes.
kuro-kuro ko lang yun, ha? Hindi,
Mabait kayo, very polite.
just my suspicion.
Very valid kasi. Miss Lapus, ano reaction niya?
We have here with us Melvin Hoves from the Department of Trade and Industry.
At DTI, yes.
And maybe she can answer what Philippine Star was asking.
Oo, baka yung tatlong question ng Philippine Star, you can mention something, a comment. Anong hope ninyo na this visit of the President, aside from national security, will this visit help in some ways trade, exports, or especially coconuts? May konting tulong ba sa trade access to US and Japan markets? Or will this not be discussed? Do you have hopes na it will increase coconut exports to US, Japan?
Good morning, everyone.
Your full name ulit?
My name is Melvin Hoves. Ako, bigla akong nahila. Of
From
course,
DTI.
there's always hope every time the president visits another country. So there's always the hope that our leaders will be able to promote traditional Philippine products, no? Lalo-lalo na yung coconut. We're actually looking forward to that Philippine-US bilateral dialogue on coconut because we want to raise issues, especially yung mga allergens, issues that
When will this be
this is going
held?
to be in this one specific the dialogue, the bilateral talks with the US is going to happen this coming May. So we're actually preparing all the position paper and we're always banking on the technical people from the industry to help the government raise significant issues that will eventually help grow the industry. So of course we're banking on the sobrang scientific support. Galing po kay Dr. Toby Dairit. So he's our technical, very, very technical person who's really very supportive of the coconut industry. So siya
Where
talaga
will
yung
this
ating-
talk be held?
In the US.
In the US,
So I'm not really privy to the venue and to the specific schedule.
It's
but
about coconut industry of the Philippines.
among others, actually. So, mga products that have entry issues pagdating sa US market. So, one of those is actually coconut. So, marami tayong issues that's being faced sa market natin. One is, of course, was mentioned by our panelists na tawag kasi natin coconut tree. So,
Yes.
please help us. People from the newspaper, from
From
this
the media.
industry, sa media
Yes.
people, help us correct the impression
Yes.
that coconut is a tree. Because sabi nga kanina, it's actually not a tree. It's a palm. No? Palm yung wala siyang ibang branch. Nandoon lang sa taas yung kanyang branch. Isa lang, parang crown lang
Anong
siya.
pagkaiba for people who are not experts sa ano? Anong difference yun if the public know the truth na hindi siya puno, it's a palm? Anong difference?
It's not actually sa end natin yung may interest, but actually yung interest natin towards our market's reaction. Because it's a
US
tree
market.
nut. Kasi tree nut po yung classification niya ngayon. It's an allergen. So each time we send our products overseas, we have to indicate doon sa label sa packaging niya
Na
na meron
no
siyang
allergen.
allergen. And if there's an allergen, you know how people in the US or in Europe would react pag may allergen. So parang itlog siya. Egg is an allergen, di ba? So pag
Ah.
merong ganon, they shy away from these products. But coconut is plant-based. It's supposed to be a very healthy product coming from the Philippines. So we really want the media people to help us promote coconut as a healthy product. As a
So-
product, yeah.
Thank you very much for saying that. So, ay, Miss Barbara, maraming tanong ka sa kanila. Ay, please introduce yourself.
Ms. Hoves, since there's so much problem with coconut as allergen, no? Because we're exporting it as food. But if we export it also as a chemical, there's no need to answer these problems about allergens. Is that true?
That is correct. But allergen issue is actually attached to coconut as a food product.
Okay,
Pag
given
naging non-food na po siya, wala na siya. But ma'am, susulat ko lang yung tanong na yan kasi alam ko kung saan siya papunta. There's always an issue between food and fuel because our priority, lalo na sa government side, is always food on the table. So yun nga, kanina explain to the other guy there, si sir, sabi ko, sa Philippines dapat hindi siya issue kasi hindi naman tayo talaga coconut eater, unlike, there's only one province though, region, no, na mahilig sa niyog. Lahat ng pagkain merong gata.
Bicol.
Sa Bicol.
Bicol
opo.
region.
Pero in other places, hindi tayo masyadong kumakain ng niyog natin. Unlike Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, India, and Sri Lanka, they're really staple sa kanila yung coconut, no, sa kanilang food. So, tayo hindi masyadong ganun ng issue. And we have 15 billion nuts produced annually. Yun yung nabibilang.
Tayo sa Pilipinas, 15 billion
15. On the average, like, maximum, that's 15 billion.
a year.
A year. Yung nabibilang lang natin. So, hindi natin nabibilang yung iba na napupunta po sa palengke, yung nilalako ng ating mga vendors.
May mga tanong dito, sorry. Sabi ni Ms. Lapos and the other panelists na we should plant more and replant more. What is the ideal number of planting that we need to be self-sufficient and export more? May target ba ang gobyerno?
Meron pong hybridization, replanting, planting program ang Philippine Coconut Authority. So sorry to
target?
say. It's because we have
How many trees do we have and how many do we need?
ang sabi naalala ko before, ang sabi po ng UCAP, yung United Coconut Association of the Philippines, that
Yes.
they can sell kahit na ano pa yung kaya nating i-produce. So they can sell whatever it is that we can produce, they can sell. So, meaning, pwede pa talaga tayong magtanim ng marami. Kasi marami po, lumalaki yung demand sa international market, especially sa coconut water component.
Yes.
Hindi lang po yung mantika ang pinag-uusapan natin. Even the fuel, the CME industry is also growing. So, pwede po talaga nating tamnan yung mga idle lands natin. And we need to ano ba tawag doon? To really crossbreed or kung ano pa yung gagawin natin para we can produce coconut that has more water for our coconut water markets and yung coconut na mas mataba or makapal yung meat for coconut oil market. Coconut na makapal yung shell for our activated carbon market. So ganun po ang pwede natin gawin. It's a strategy that needs to be studied by our government agencies.
follow up.
Yes.
Actually, my question about the trade in the industry is kung walang problema ang CME in terms of showing that there's no need to prove that it's not an allergen, I just want to know if do you project a kind of parang competition between export of food, of coconut as food or export of coconut as chemical? Because right now, I think, we're exporting CME to the maritime industry, and it's one of our biggest exports. No, I just want to know if the TTI is promoting both CME, ay coconut as food and coconut as fuel in terms of exporting. So wala namang conflict sa production natin so far.
Tama po yan, ma'am. Yung trust kasi ng DTI is to promote higher value-added products. When you say CME, higher value na po siya. There's a value addition already to the product. Kasi we export 60% crude oil. That's where the revenue is coming from, no, at the moment. So 60% ng export natin ng coconut ay crude oil. Crude po yun, hindi siya processed. So if we will promote CME, no, then we will have to process yung ating crude oil para maging CME po siya. So it's going to really add more revenue sa ating sa Philippines if we will do that.
Can you give us the money value of the 60% crude oil? Money value a year.
In dollars po, if we have a $3 billion industry, so that would be, so you multiply that, that's 60 to 70%. So that's around 1.8 billion.
It's the biggest, 60%.
Miss Yvonne.
Dollars, huh?
Yeah, it again depends on the price of coconut oil, no? But right now, the prices are getting higher. So we expect also a higher revenue from coconut oil. The last time we had more than 1 billion revenue from coconut oil. I think we will also be hitting that this year.
Miss, I'm surprised that the crude oil, which can be made into a value-added product, is the biggest export of the Philippines in terms of the use of coconut. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. Because crude oil is actually is the anchor product. That's where we get the revenue
So
for the coconut industry.
why haven't we been maximizing it in terms of export only, kahit na wala pang value added?
That is what the market demands of us. So it really depende po sa market. If the market wants crude oil, we have to produce crude oil. If there's a market for CME, then we convert our crude to CME.
Can we convert it? I mean, I think we have 14 CME producers.
The CME that we produce is basically for our fuel, for the blending of our diesel with that CME. The CME that we export, it's a liter. Actually, it represents only a small portion of the export volume. So more of our CME is already used internally.
So wag na nating export. I mean, what are your views in terms of using the CME for our own fuels and clean environment? Tayo na lang muna at saka increase natin. Is that the view of the group?
According to Rafi, even at 5%, okay na yon, ano? So,
100% po pwede.
The test that we have conducted, at 5%, you're able to reduce the particulate emission, the diesel soot, by 83%. 83. We had several trials on that. The reduction is 83. If you go further to 10%, for example, the increase is very minimal. It's only about 90% reduction. Now, those who are using diesel, I'm sure you have experienced that once a year you have to have the emission test, right? In one of the emission tests in the earlier years, when there was heavy emission, ang measurement ng emission test is called opacity, di ba? K value. So from a 10 opacity value, when it was run with biodiesel, with CME, it reduced from 10K opacity to 0.44 K. So that's how big the reduction is. Kaya marami nakakaalam yan, pag nagpapa-emission test na sila, bibili na ng botelya na CME hahalo para pasado sila kagad. Pero some of them are using that for emission testing purposes. But right now, we already have the 2% in our gasoline station. When you load diesel, that already contains 2%.
Lahat ng diesel 2% na.
That 2% will reduce the emission by about 50-70%. But some of them want to add more para mas malaki yung reduction. That's how it is. But let me also add, I forgot to explain. Why is it that we are comparing biodiesel by means of iodine value? The iodine number, each diesel has an iodine number. The iodine measures the amount of unsaturates that a biodiesel has. The greater unsaturates, the more hygroscopic it is, which means the more it will absorb water. And if you have very, very low iodine, that means you don't have much unsaturated. Furthermore, if you low iodine, you promote the reduction of nitrogen oxide. Diesel kasi will emit NOx, which is a greenhouse gas. But when you have CME, it will reduce or at least prevent it from increasing. So that is the meaning of iodine. Coconut has 9. Others, especially sunflower, has 133. So that's the difference. You have 9 for coconut and 18 for palm kernel, the iodine. And then you have jatropha, which is 100. And you have soybean, which is 116. And canola at 113. Sunflower is 133. These are the iodine numbers compared to CME, which is only 9. So that's how extensive, how superb our CME is. Thank you.